Ladies and gentlemen, we are very proud today to have a president of this caliber. Let's welcome Dr. Emmanuel Ngcobo.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Program Director, very much for that. Kindly allow me to just greet everyone at our 95th Year Celebration Conference, where it has been said that we are continuing excellence in public finances. And our Program Director did a very good job in terms of acknowledging who we have in our midst. And I obviously will not be able to get this right of acknowledging all the different positions and organizations that are represented here today. And for the purposes of respecting everyone present, please, as it is always said, I am observing all due protocols. There are books and there are statements that speak to other men being more equal than the others because of many other various reasons. But I mostly subscribe that we are all equal before God, our Creator. But obviously, we highly respect the offices that people actually occupy. Let me especially acknowledge our friends. We have traveled from far, already mentioned. We have the president of the Government Finance Officers Association of the USA and Canada with us. I'll come back to it later on. We have the director of the Chartered Institute of Public Accountancy of the UK, also to be joining us. He's on flight currently. Delegates from Swaziland, we've relaunched the chapter there, Botswana, as well as Zimbabwe. And for our friends that have traveled from far, please let's just give them a big hand, kindly. Now, as we gather for our 95-year celebration conference for the past 2 years or so, I have been pondering on what matters the most. What matters the most? I shared briefly about this in one of the conferences earlier this year, and to be quite honest, I still don't have the answers to what truly matters the most. I'm also on the journey of discovering that. If they could just flight the few slides that I have, it's going to also help just talk to what I'm going to touch on right now. What I'm then hoping that as we all traverse the journey of life, we'll then be able to determine truly what are the answers to what matters the most, where we are from the context of the world that we live in, the context of the public sector that we find ourselves at or in, from where we come from, who we are, and also where we are headed, what truly matters the most. Before then continuing any further, let me just make a disclaimer that my pronunciation of words may not be at its best. You know, the CEO of Moonsoft, while he was here, eloquently speaking, take my hat off him. It just is not here now for me to say this, but hopefully somebody can relay the message, speaks so well, and some of us, we are on the journey of getting there, and I am trusting in time that I will actually get that in order. So that's just one disclaimer, because my 7-year-old has told me that. I've got a little girl, and what she has been telling me, because she's in grade 1, there's a way that you say R for apple, or is it something like that, A for elephant, just putting them out there so that for those who know them, how to pronounce them correctly. And then I always say U for umbrella, but it's not U for umbrella, it's R for umbrella. But it's supposed to be R for apple, no, A for apple. And something like for elephant, or something like, but it just doesn't seem to be gelling, but yeah, that's what it is. So since she's in grade 1, obviously she's being taught the correct stuff. So that basically means that, she's right and I'm wrong. And if I keep practicing, as I said, hopefully I will also get there, because some of us, were taught English, while we're in the Zulu. Yeah, I taught English in isiZulu, and your teacher also doesn't have a better understanding. So you know that. Some of you, I know that's why you are laughing and smiling at that. So that's why some of us, I was telling my board the other day, you think of something, as much as I do look like an Indian, but I am black, fully black. I was telling the deputy minister earlier, I am fully black. Yeah, but there is some blood somewhere, that just sneaks in somewhere. So, but I'm from an African background and all of that. So went to an African school and all of that, good things. We treasure that very, very much. Don't take it out, why I am here, because of that good grounding and everything. So obviously I said, setting the board, when I think obviously in my African language, and then I must translate that now into English to communicate. And sometimes, what you think and want to say and what to communicate is sometimes too different, So, yeah, it is like that. But, we always strive to do better and continue from there. But anyway, let me get back to this. So, I was aiming to highlight that challenge, but those who are, gray like me will understand the deeper meaning, to this, that at your age, you can be wrong, and a 7-year-old can actually be right, because he or she has been taught well than you. That's the reality of it. And also the other person can actually know more than you, even though that individual might be on a lower position than you are at the present moment. Then obviously the other reason that I wanted to make mention of these R's and A's and the O's was to also show my beautiful daughter. Yes, you can clap for my daughter. So I could not have that in there, as well as to show my son, as well as my teenage wife, that I also have. So they call her the First Lady, and Dr. Mike Sutcliffe said, no, she's not the First Lady, she's the ultimate lady. And I said, thank you, Dr. Mike. She is the ultimate for me, and I love her very, very much, because those things are also important. But obviously, I come from the Zulu Kingdom, and for those who know the Zulu Kingdom and our past president, you can connect the dots that if she allows me to take the second and third and fourth and fifth, but if she doesn't allow, so I'm stuck with the one. So maybe you can talk to her on my behalf. But the reason why I'm just mentioning this is to say, before we are presidents, we are mayors, directors, executives, CFO, we are people first. We've got families, and we've got children and all of that, and that has to be very much respected. And we then have to ensure that we respect one another. As I said, we respect the offices, that we must always do, but also as humanity, as people, as we are here in this conference, let us ensure that we respect one another. I heard that there is also, our media that is part of our conference. Thank you very much for being here. But also, don't just tear down people. I'm just speaking here. It's not part of my notes, but I always read news and I enjoy reading them. But because of, the nature of our environment, of local government or the public sector, a lot of things are said, about some of the people out there. Yes, there are those doing wrong, but the media always just tear people down. And, it's like, but this is still a husband, still a father, still a mother. There's a way of, saying things, and that becomes important because we must respect one another. So moving on to my prepared speech, which I'm hoping to follow as much as possible. Before going to what matters the most, let me just take a bit of a detour just to share about what our institute has been all about in the past few months. I took the office of the president in October last year, having served the organization for the past 19 years, deputy minister and deputy mayor. I started as a trainee accountant, and before I could even, I think it was in my second week or so, and I jumped into the ship of the then Info as a volunteer. And from that time, I haven't looked back. And I've then obviously find myself now as the president, having gone through the ranks right from the bottom, which I'm very, very much grateful for. Hence, I do not take that lightly, as well as the trust that has been bestowed upon me to move this organization forward. But before, obviously, I ascended to the position, there had been other presidents before me who had done a tremendous job for the Institute, and that must be duly acknowledged as well as treasured. Hence, we have most of them that could make it for this year's conference to be with us as we celebrate our 95 years. Later on, we'll just make mention of them so that we formally recognize. But in the meantime, if we can all just please put your hands together for our past presidents. Now, from the time that we took office as the current board, which I'm very much grateful for, the board members, they continue to serve with diligence, continue to serve with excellence in their respective portfolios. The interim CEO keeps on, saying they are the one, not to say other boards that have been there were not good, but this is one very vibrant, very hardworking board, and we really appreciate the board. And if just the board members can all please stand, the board members of CIGFARO, please stand so that we can recognize and also give a hand to our board members. Thank you very much. You may be seated. The current board, we have some objectives that I've just put up on the screen to make life easier for me. In our 2 years of office from last year, October, to next year, October, we have just set these 5 objectives, among others, that we just want to strive to achieve. And the first one being to ensure cutting-edge training, development, and capacitation of our members at all times, because we have declared this year as well as next year the year of our members as CIGFARO, because we exist because of our members, and we want to make sure that we serve our members as best as we should. Secondly, ensuring active branches as well as localized impact per province. I believe that we have achieved some good milestones. We have almost all our branches now active. In the past couple of years, there were some challenges, but just in the past couple of months, almost all our branches now are actually active. Thirdly, working with ILGM as well as SALGA, the main issue of professionalization of the public sector or service, we are involved in that. Fourthly, being of impact also to the African continent. We would have heard that we have launched the Eswatini chapter as well. It's a relaunch, it has been there before, but we just had to go and awaken that sleeping giant. And we obviously are planning to go into other SADC countries in the next coming months, your Botswana, Swaziland, Namibia, just to start, and Lesotho as well. Then the last one is the global footprint as well as connection. Ending with that latter part of the global footprint and connection, I already mentioned that we have the president of GFOA with us, Tanya, and I just wanted her to just rise so that we can also give her a hand. She's from Canada, by the way. She's from Canada because the organization GFOA is GFOA of the USA and Canada. Which is obviously another good milestone. I know there has been another Canadian president in there, but it's obviously usually USA because they are the largest in terms of the membership of their professional body. And the others that I've mentioned, just that I know others were still on their way, so I don't want to make them stand because I'm not too sure that they are around or not, but all the others. But for Eswatini, we have told them we're no more recognizing them now as international delegates. They are now part and parcel of this family. So they are part of us. So even the others, when we start the chapters, we want to be one. You know, Africa is one. So, but they did mention, we had a dinner yesterday, that they are definitely a beacon for us, and they are more like a center of excellence. I want them to be that center of excellence that even other African countries now can learn from them, to say we can have a CIGFARO in Eswatini that is fully active and serving its members as best as they should, and then others can actually emulate and take that forward. So watch this space as we go into other African countries as well. And then importantly, on this last part of the global footprint and connection, on the sidelines of the CIGFARO conference, the one of the USA and Canada, which we went to with some delegates from South Africa, we had an international dinner, just to be precise, and there were quite a number of countries that were represented, and there was a strong need for the establishment of a global federation of public finance officers. And I'm proud to announce formally in this platform that the idea of that global federation of public finances was birthed here in South Africa and also birthed here in KwaZulu-Natal. Therefore, it is surely a great pleasure to announce that the federation, the Global Federation of Public Finance Officers, is in motion, and it is our desire and our aspiration that we formally launch the federation next year, October, at our next conference, when we have all other partners of other countries that have expressed interest that they want to come to South Africa for this particular launch, and further details will actually be made known to everyone, because this federation then aims to open global opportunities for all our respective members in all the different countries that will be represented, so that also we can work closer with one another as those organizations and elevate the status of our members to be globally recognized in terms of public finances and other related disciplines. With that being said, you can put hands together just for that. Furthermore, as the current board, we've introduced two forums within the Institute, one being the Young Leaders Forum. The chair of the Young Leaders, if you can just please stand so the young ones can know our chairperson of the Young Leaders Forum. Please give him a hand. And we also have established the Women in Public Leadership Forum. You may stand, Leanne, as well, so the women may know. And there will be an announcement, because apparently there will be a gathering of the ladies at some point, but I'll leave that to the program directors to make mention of that, because we are now intentional in terms of interventions to support these two areas of the young leaders as well as the women in public leadership, because obviously we understand the challenges that they face within this space. Also, we've introduced the Research and Academic Advisory Committee within the Institute, which already is being upgraded to what they call the crack team. So if you can look at your screen, not the crack, because somebody told me crack is also the crack for the other stuff that you shouldn't be taking. And I didn't think of that because I'm not really familiar with it. But it actually stands for crack squad, but it's CIGFARO Research and Advisory Center. So it's just an acronym, for that. So not the other crack or the heat squad, but just the crack squad, so that when municipalities have a problem, they can just call the crack squad or the crack team to actually assist them in terms of resolving whatever challenge that they have. This is made up of our retired CIGFARO members as well as other experts in the field, as and when we then need to have them on board. Now, as I get to close, going back to what I touched on earlier when I opened up, just a reminder that the public service is an honorable service because it is necessary to service mankind. We are all aware of that. And therefore, it must be a job that we do efficiently and effectively, as well as adding the other E, which is economically. And in all honesty, just like those before us have said, it has to be a complete dedication to the people as well as the nation that we serve. And what matters then the most is whom we are here for and whom we are doing all these jobs and tasks that we are all involved in, the budgeting, the reporting, and the oversight by our public office or the leaders that we have, and for whom do we actually exist as the sector. Then as the public service, when we understand and know all of that, then we will strive and do all which we have to do to provide the services for those entrusted to us as the municipalities as well as the departments. We won't have excuses for not delivering or shifting the blame to everything else, but simply do the best to ensure service delivery is always prioritized above everything else. What an amazing and great government then we would have if that is so. Furthermore, and this is very important, what matters the most is your good self. First and foremost, you are important and special. So much is said about public servants for those who work in government. Sometimes we don't even want to, mention that you're working for a municipality because you know what is going to come after that, the stereotypes and all of those issues that are there. But we are here, we are still doing what we have to do, and we really have to acknowledge and appreciate that as well. But remember, you cannot change everything else for the better if you don't change yourself for the better first. I think the first speaker was also touching on those aspects. Strive to improve, strive to continuously learn, grow, and develop, each and every one of us. Whether you are, in your gray hair era, you are old, but you can always learn something, especially in the environment we find ourselves. There is always something that you can actually learn. And also, as you find yourself in the government sector, don't be distracted by every little thing that happens outside of your function, outside of your mandate. It can be very, very easy to be distracted by the winds and the storms in the environment or local government especially, but ensure that you keep focused. So don't pull others down to rise up. Don't pull others down to rise up. Don't destroy everything else around you to make your voice heard. I don't know why that happens. There's a community I know, and I won't mention the name. They want something, then they destroy what is currently there. How? It should not be the case. And then for us, we also need to lead by examples as the public servants. Don't destroy what is around you to have your voice heard, but always pull up others to advance further. Focus on building for the future so that we can then leave the world a better place than before. Yes, you must strive to rise, to be promoted, but that must be done in the right manner. For when you do that, then obviously the sector rises, the sector becomes better, the sector better serves the community and also better serves the country, and obviously improved governments shall we have so that we can then all better serve the global village that we now live in. With that, I thank you for listening to my thoughts. I then hereby declare the 95th Annual Conference officially open. God bless, keep well, and peace be upon you.